Tourism is one of Britain's biggest and most important business sectors, employing over 1 million people. Tourists flock from all over the world to experience our unique British history, sites and cultures, but there has been one place that has been at the forefront of British tourism for well over a century: Blackpool. Blackpool was a breakthrough town, boasting many of the worldwide firsts of innovation, and what Blackpool did first in the world, and the others copied. So what led this insignificant coastal village to become one of Britain's premier seaside resorts? Blackpool is located in the northwest coast of England in Lancashire, around 30 miles north of Liverpool. Up until the mid-1800s, Blackpool was just another unassuming fishing village. But then something revolutionary happened to change this town's fortunes forever: the railway.
The Industrial Revolution is largely responsible for the development of mass tourism, in as much as it created new industrial towns and cities which were pretty oppressive, congested places to live in, and so residents of those towns and cities were looking for a place to escape, and the nearest place for many of them was the seaside. It's been said that Thomas Cook came up with the first package holidays in the 19th century, middle of the 19th century, but working class holidays were more of a late 19th, early 20th century invention.
Here in Blackpool, come to sunny Blackpool, even the rain's warmer. Yeah, this is the comedy carpet, and this is a very, very special event here in Blackpool, because there's nothing like this in the whole world. Other parts of the world can have the 7 wonders of the world, now to the 8th, and this is it, the Blackpool Comedy Carpet. Come along here and you'll see all your favourites, all your favourite comedians and comedians, because these days we have some very funny women. Come along here, you'll see all your favourite comedians and all their catchphrases. See if you remember them, like right monkey, and I'll not take my coat off, I'm not stopping, and then all these wonderful comedians, and they're right here waiting for you here in Blackpool on the comedy carpet. By Joe, how tickled you'll be. How tickled I am.
Commissioned by Blackpool Council and designed by artist Gordon Young, the comedy carpet has been 5 years in the making. Carved by water jets, each of the 160,000 letters is made from solid granite, making it much more resistant to the weather it'll face on Blackpool's promenade. Each letter and shape is then embedded into each of their many high-quality, gleaming white concrete slabs. The first concrete pieces were laid back in August 2010 on the new headland, which lies immediately opposite the Blackpool Tower. Comedian Rick Mail came to see the first piece when it was laid on the carpet.
There's my quote, that's the quote, that's what existence itself is about. One thing's for sure, when Cliff Richard wrote Wired for Sound, no way was he sitting on a clean lavatory. So it is laid for all eternity. That is the meaning of life. Pan around and look up there. Look up there. Is that the Blackpool Tower? Yes, it bloody is. And what's that? That's Rick Mail's quote about Cliff Richard. Can I just say, this is the greatest piece of art that has ever been made in the whole of history of Europe. Never mind Michelangelo, never mind Rubens. This is sculpture. So British people, come to Blackpool and you can gaze upon Rick's quote. Do it. Be there or be square.
In 1953, Blackpool won the FA Cup.
11 men come back to Blackpool to one of the greatest welcomes ever accorded a football team. Yes, they're the Blackpool boys who won the match of the century at Wembley against Bolton Wanderers. Heading towards the Tower, the procession continues its triumphal journey. 100,000 loyal fans give a cup winner's reception to Harry Johnston and his team. The coach arrives at Blackpool's Town Hall, and 15,000 people surge forward for a closer glimpse of their heroes.
All through the year, work goes on for the great day in September when the fabulous illuminations will be switched on. From one end to the other, the promenades will be a blaze of light. 75 miles of cable will be laid, 350,000 coloured lamps will dance and glow in the annual display of dazzling splendour.
The First Lady of the Skies, 002 Concorde, flies over Blackpool, famous not only for its tower, but its equally famous illuminations. The illuminations are Blackpool's way of having that final end-of-the-season fling. Female impersonator Danny LaRue is there to switch on the lights, which first went on 60 years ago.
I welcome to Blackpool Miss Jane Mansfield in your name, in the name of the people of Blackpool. It's pretty obvious that she's better known.
Celebrities from around the world want to switch on the world-famous lights, and none more so than Jane Mansfield here in 1959, flustering our mayor at the time.
It's very obvious indeed that you don't want to listen to anything I might have to say. And therefore, I have now very great pleasure in asking Miss Jane Mansfield to switch on the autumn illuminations of 1959.
That's the most fantastic thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm completely speechless. Oh, thank you so very much, all of you. It's completely breathtaking. I'm without words.
In the past, Blackpool's famous illuminations have been turned on by an assortment of film stars, politicians and disc jockeys. An old warhorse can do better. Red rum passes through a special photoelectric cell, and on go the lights.
Richard Williams, who pays for the lights and how much does it cost?
The illuminations, they're funded by Blackpool Borough Council. We receive 1.8 million from the council every year as a contribution. They actually cost 2.2 million to run, and the additional funding that's required, that's gained from the collections on the promenade. As you can see, we do get people to sponsor the illuminations. What tends to happen is, rather than get to pay for a whole section, which is really expensive, we tend to get them to contribute towards it, which helps with our costs.
I asked Richard, how do they deal with running repairs?
During the illuminations, obviously we have to look after the display, and what we do, we have 6 teams of chaps who help. We have lamping teams who predominantly just lamp the illuminations, looking for outages all the time, and we have 3 teams with electricians in who continually repair the illuminations. Over the past few years we've introduced low voltage, predominantly now 24 volt, and what that means for us is we now have a 98% lit rate.
The first ever illuminations were in 1877, where 8 arc lights lit up the Blackpool promenade for 320 yards. Blackpool was probably the first town to have electric street lights in the world. So the illuminations aren't cheap to run. They cost us £4.5 million per year, but that is offset by the estimated £250 million tourists bring in each year when people come to see the world famous illuminations at Blackpool. For Blackpool to keep continuing to thrive and survive, it needs imagination and money, and I was very lucky enough to get an interview with our MP for Blackpool South, Scott Benton. Thank you very much for doing this interview with me. So could you just tell me a bit about the money, what's coming in from government?
Absolutely. You've heard a phrase from the government, levelling up, and levelling up is probably more pertinent and important to Blackpool than any other town in the country. The government is putting in a huge amount of investment. So we received £200 million during COVID to keep the economy where it should be, so schemes such as furlough, and that's now allowed, post-lockdown, a situation where the economy is quickly rebounded, and now we have to take advantage of some of those opportunities out there. So there's about £1 billion worth of public and private investment coming into Blackpool over the next decade, which is an eye-watering sum of money. So that includes everything from a new investment. We've seen public and privately invested at Talbot Gateway for the new tram project. It includes the Winter Gardens as well. £300 million for a Blackpool Central development, which will create hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and again that's important because it means that Blackpool can start to transition to a year-round economy, which has long been one of the challenges here. So that's some of the capital investment coming in. Over and above that, we've got direct government capital investment as well. So we've got £39.5 million from the Towns Fund, which is going to fund a new sports village at Revo. Jobs down here just next to my office at the Enterprise Zone, and upgrades to the illuminations as well. We also have government funding for what's called the Multiversity, which is a new skills complex in conjunction with Blackpool and the Fylde College. And then finally, we're hopeful that our bid will be accepted to what's called the Levelling Up Fund, which will go through due government process in autumn, and hopefully we'll receive £20 million, again capital funding, and half of that will be spent very close to where you live, which is Bond Street, Waterloo Road. People always speak to me about how that area has declined over years. So we're hoping £10 million investment in those streets around there, and then another £10 million for the Multiversity project. So that's just some of the funding coming into Blackpool. If I give you a long list, I'll probably be here for a very long time. That's a flavour of what we're getting.
So we have the money, we have the investment, building has started, and the regeneration of Blackpool has begun. Onwards and upwards to make this town even more fun.
I think driving to a British seaside resort, Blackpool, in a funny little British sports car with a naked lady statue and a giant urn on the seat next to me is, above all else, fun. And for all our serious side, the British have always been rather good at fun.
Hello Blackpool, this is Tim Peake calling, and I've got something special for you. I want to take you on a journey.
Data go. Power go. Spec on.
Spec and go.
Project support.
Project support go.
Flight dynamics. Flight dynamics go. Maintenance. Maintenance go.
Are you ready?
Every year when summer comes round, off to the sea I go. I don't care if I do spend a pound, I'm rather rash, I know. See me dressed like all the sports, in my blazer and a pair of shorts, with me little stick of Blackpool rock. Along the promenade I stroll. It may be sticky, but I never complain. It's nice to have a nibble at it now and again. Every day, wherever I stray, the kids all round me flock. One afternoon, the band conductor up on the stand somehow lost his baton, it flew out of his hand. So I jumped in this place and then conducted the band with me little stick of Blackpool rock.